I'm Andrea Tarnecki, and I will be moderating the 3-minute Tech Talks. For anyone who has not done this before, it's a speed presentation round, so each speaker will have a maximum of 3 minutes to get their point across. After 3 minutes, we will rudely and abruptly cut you off if you're still talking. And so this year we have a prize for whoever goes closest to 3 minutes without going over. And that is this wonderful print here. It's a print by Albertus Siba from the mid-1700s. It's an original antique print, and it was graciously donated by my good friend Catherine Baggett at Trillium Rare Prints in Franklin, Tennessee. So we've got that here. It's hidden in the back by the AV. I haven't unwrapped it yet because she did a magnificent job of wrapping it so it's safe to move around. But so what I'm going to do is I will announce who's going and then the next person, so you can be ready to get up here when you're ready, because we do have to transition very quickly. And I'll be keeping time back here, and as soon as your 3 minutes is over, I'll cut you off. I think the videos, if you have videos, start automatically, but I'm not positive about that, so you may have to click twice. Green is forward, red is back, I guess. So with that said, we're going to start off with Matt from the Virginia Institute of Marine Science. So Matt, come on up. And following him will be Julia.
All right, I'm setting a timer. Yeah. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Matt Leganke. Today I will be doing the fun work of announcing a survey that's coming up for all farmers. Yoo-hoo! I'm thrilled. No, this is, I'm a third-year PhD student. This survey is better than all the other surveys because it's for shellfish farmers and farm managers in particular. So the goal of my dissertation work and my work in general is I just really want to help shellfish farmers. I want to help you improve your production. I want to help you cut down on costs. I want to help this business become less risky, and I believe in something that collaboration is basically the foundation for this success. And collaboration really starts with understanding. You can click to the next slide, or do I have it? So for this project, for this survey, my goal is to enhance everyone's understanding of the challenges you face in your daily farming operations, and it's really getting at the farm manager. So while we have anecdotal conversations at conferences like this that are great, we don't get reports on what was said, who agreed with what, and so we need to increase everyone's understanding for a broader understanding. And so this is a nationwide assessment for farm managers, and it's really to help align everyone's direction in the product sector development, for the research development, and try and get everyone rowing in the same direction. So what is the needs assessment? It's a survey, but instead of having to sit in front of a computer, I'm more than willing to just have you call me up and we can just discuss like normal people, friends. And so this really came about from visiting a bunch of farms on different coasts and just seeing all the different needs in different areas. And so the last part of this will be deployed in May, and we'll have until August to collect all the answers. And then we're going to be sharing the results really aggressively at presentations, through presentations at grower conferences, academic conferences, and we're going to also be making a one-pager of all the results from the study and giving them out to trade show booths at all these different conferences to let them know what you guys need, what you want, what you need help with, the challenges you face, the stress that is incurred every day on the farm. And I think that's really it. For the QR code, just scan it. There's one question along with my email. Give me feedback on what you think should be included. I included the broad question topics for it. But yeah, I'm open to discussing more with you guys. So with that, I'll say thank you.
All right. 2 minutes and 44 seconds. That's pretty freaking good.
Okay. All right, let me know whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Hey all, my name is Julia Gren, and I am a grad student at the Virginia Institute of Marine Science working with Bill Walton. And today I'll be presenting on how we sample water inside bags and baskets. And this is an opportunity for all you farmers out there. So I hope that farmers on the West Coast are here and the Gulf Coast. This is open to anybody. Oh, well. All right, so are you curious about what the water looks like inside your grow-up bags and baskets? Because we definitely are. So throughout this talk, I'll tell you how we sample in these bags and baskets and what you're going to get out of it. So when I'm sampling the water, I'm looking at dissolved oxygen, pH, chlorophyll A, and turbidity. And these metrics are really important to understand because they're connected to oyster growth, performance, survivorship, all of that. And understanding what's happening inside your bags and baskets can help you make informed management decisions on your farm. So this sampling, I collect water from inside the bag and then another sample directly 1 foot outside of the bag, and that just allows me to directly compare how the water's behaving on your farm in different areas. So we typically do this sampling in the summer, so when the water temperatures heat up, that's when we would typically expect to see differences between inside and outside of the bag. And it typically takes between 1 to 2 hours, depending on how accessible your lease is. So if we have to take a 20-minute boat ride to get to your lease, it's gonna take me longer to sample, but it's also dependent on if you have any questions that you want me to answer and how many samples that we need to collect. I can sample, the pictures here show that we can walk up to the bags, we can take boats. We're very flexible in how we actually get to the lease and how involved you want to be with the sampling. Oh, okay, well it changed. But anyways, those two pictures showed surface culture, but I can also sample in bottom bags. So as long as it's within 2 feet of the surface at low tide, I can come and sample. If you have more specific questions about if your lease is accessible, we can talk about logistics after this talk. But oh, it keeps changing. I'm not pressing it. The previous pictures showed stocking density and biofouling. Those are 2 metrics that we use to assess for these water parameters. So I can tell you what your stocking density is. I can tell you what your biofouling is. And then after I'm done with sampling the water, we then analyze the data and I create a farm report for you. So in that I include the inside versus outside sample comparison. I include the average stocking density and the average biofouling blockage. We split it out based on just mesh, just the biofouling accumulation, the total blockage. We also include any producer questions, so whatever you're curious about, we can ask. But if you're interested in this, please sign or use the QR code. Express your interest. I'll send you an email after this conference. And also, I have my picture and my email, so thank you so much.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
That was amazing.
Oh my God.
2 minutes and 59 seconds, by the way.
All right, hopefully this works a little bit better. Let's see here. My name is Thomas Dervis. I'm a Florida Sea Grant agent over in Santa Rosa County. A little bit about me. I used to be an oyster farmer. Now I'm turned extension agent. Fully love my job. I've only been on the job for about 9 months now. I'm still learning a lot, but I've also been trying to advocate a little bit more for what extension can do for you. Florida Sea Grant, this also works for any of the sea grants around. They're really geared towards teaching people, making sure that there's great policy involved for all the aquaculturists and especially fisheries and all that other stuff. It envisions a future with a resilient coastal zone where people use natural resources in a way that, it's beneficial to the economy and society. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of what I've done so far. This was something we did with the estuary program locally in Pensacola Bay. It was called the BWET program. What we did is we taught a bunch of marine science educators all the way from elementary school all the way up to the high school. It was a really cool opportunity. We got together. I was able to grill up some oysters that you saw there that were donated from Grayson Bay Oyster Company. It was just a really cool experience to connect with them, and now I'm working with a lot of the extension or the educators now on programs for their schools. This is one that's really near and dear to my heart. It's called Know Thy Oyster. It's also sponsored by Oyster South. I was able to do one presentation so far, one teaching workshop at Harry Roy, which is a restaurant in Pensacola. It was a great experience. We brought out the oyster farmer, Brandon with Grayson Bay, and he was able to go over what it is like to grow oysters and also taught people how to talk to their customers about how to sell the oyster experience. And then we also do a lot of blog writing, which is something that a lot of people don't realize is a great benefit to them. But as you can see, I've already written a lot of blogs on oysters and oyster aquaculture. What I can recommend is that if you have a local sea grant agent in your area, to reach out to them if you have any cool activities going on in your farm. As you can see there on the top left, we have the oysters locally that we're displaying green gills. Brandon with Grayson Bay reached out to me and showed me a picture of some green-gilled oysters. So it's a really cool opportunity for me to come out and tell them, hey, we've got some really cool things happening in our bay that we usually don't see, that you can see usually in North Carolina or in France. And here's a little bit of extension in your state. I kind of focused on the South, but I'll be honest with you guys, Sea Grant is everywhere. It's on the East Coast, it's on the West Coast, it's on the Gulf Coast of the Gulf of Mexico. And there's also Sea Grant up in the Great Lakes, which I think is really cool. So make sure that you reach out to your Sea Grant agent in your local counties and your states. I know it kind of runs differently state by state. But if you have any questions, here's my contact information. If you're a little unsure of where you need to start to go to find your Sea Grant agent or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. That's my office phone number, and then that is my email address. I'm happy to answer any emails and point you in the right direction. Thank y'all.
All right, great job. That was at 2:51, so we have some good timed talks today.
Hello, I'm Keith Butterfield. I distribute Flip Farm. I also own a small farm in Maine. It's probably going to land around 500,000 oysters this year. I've traditionally gotten my seed from a Flupsy, from someone else who runs a Flupsy. And I tried the new inserts that were offered with the Flip Farm basket and had terrific luck with them. Those previous inserts didn't have form to them. They were just soft, and they worked great. It took me about 8 weeks to bring a 2.5 millimeter seed up to an R5, and there were no doubles. I will say it depends on where you put them in the water. I had good wave action, that mattered. It's been upgraded, nicely upgraded. So the soft bag had some drawbacks. It was closed with a Velcro strip. You had to be really careful. You had to close it really tight. I made a mistake on the first year I did it, and a few of them, I had put them Velcro down. Big mistake. I lost most of my oysters in those particular bags. So a lot of the little things have been worked out. This is now the new version that you can see. It has a plastic that's got a nice form to it. It's got a nice flat area, so your seed's not sitting on top of each other as much as it would be with a soft bag. It fits perfectly into the basket, and it also opens and pours really easily. This, right here, there's a catch on the side here, and you just pull out and pick up. And I don't know if you can hear this, but you have a high sense of security when you put this cap back on. You can really hear it click in, and you can't pull it off. Feel free to come over to the booth and take a look at it. It's going to be over there. But you can imagine that it'd be a lot easier to dump this than it would opening up a Velcro strip. So for those of you who don't have a Flupsy or don't want to spend all the labor and effort on a Flupsy, it's a pretty good option. That's it.
Great. 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Wonderful job.
Okay, good deal. I'm Kirk Curall. I am the owner-operator of Bayside Oyster Company, and like most off-bottom oyster guys with a 1 or 2 man operating group, we try to streamline our processing of our oysters from cage to cooler. Being a 1 man operation, I've identified a few things that we needed to take care of. One was the most time-consuming thing was washing our oysters. So I developed an oyster washer which washes our oysters. And the main thing is the integrity of the shell. When most oystermen washing, they usually are in a basket with a pressure washer and they're shaking it to get both sides of the oyster or get them washed as clean as you can. So with this system here, hopefully it'll keep replaying, the integrity of the beak of the oyster is maintained, and the loss of liquor in the oyster helps extend its shelf life. So just a brief example, for me, from cage to cooler, I could process 600 oysters in 1 hour. with a helper, we could do 12 to 1,300 oysters because of the proximity of our farm to my processing area. So this is will it play again? If I press it. This has really streamlined our processing from cage to cooler. It's extended the shelf life of the oyster, and it's just a great product. You know, we've been having this for about 2 years. It's ready for market. If anybody's interested in learning any more about it, just come find me at the symposium later. I'm sorry I don't have a fancy QR code up on the screen, but if you guys are interested in finding out more about it, just give me a holler and we can discuss it. Thank you. All right, cool.
1 minute and 56 seconds.
Hello. So I was first introduced to oyster farming when I got ready to retire from FDA by this gentleman. And I thought, damn, this is going to be harder than I thought. And then I had an idea. And the idea metastasized. And it took in embodiments of all sorts of shapes, materials. And so this is the largest shell elevator on Earth. Its footprint is 31 feet. It's 10 feet wide. It has a 10-ton capacity. It has a nice little aisle in the middle where you can get on. It's stacked with 5 layers of bags of oysters that expand all the way from the sea surface to the sea floor. You can see the gear, you can access it from the aisle or from the outside by lifting pins. This is a smaller version, it's 21 feet and it holds 100 bags. You can see it exhausting water. And you also notice in the back there's a motor mount. We'll get to that later. So these are very mobile apparatus, like a boat. About a year ago we had like 20-degree weather and I had to move it out of the way to escape a freeze. They're very easy to operate. You don't have to get in the water. You just turn a valve, connect it to the air supply, and these things will rise. This is the way I tumble oysters. I open the valves on one side, and it rises up in gravity, tilts the oysters down, and tumbles them en masse without touching a bag or getting in the water. Once you get it up, it's very easy to move. It's a leisurely wade to take it from one spot, you know, if you're only like 1,000 feet away, which is, for me, getting into like waist-deep water to neck-deep water. And if we need to go further, like I'm in Area 2, which is closed all February, then we can take to another area, which is 6 miles away in Grand Bay, which is open. These two 16-year-olds, they took this little outboard off their skiff, mounted it, and we have these, what we call, what's that, when you put them together. Anyway, there's a 30-footer and a 20-footer, and we moved 400,000 oysters in 2 hours, and we burned 3 gallons of gas. If you need to move them faster, we have an express model when minutes matter. This would maybe meet your 1-hour harvest time. So anyway, we'd like to move a shell elevator into an area next to you, so come see me at the shell elevator booth or my lovely lady Diane, and she'll hook you up. Thank you very much.
We have another 2:59. I didn't expect a tie.
2:59?
Yeah.
It was a 3-minute video, come on. I cheated.
Okay. We've got a couple of products that we're launching at the show this year. So the first one is our new Flip Farm oyster sorter. This is a sorter that's targeted for larger companies or potentially consortiums that might want to group together. It's 100% hydraulic run, so our engineers tell us technically we could actually run this underwater, so it's perfectly suited to a vessel. It's very, very quick. That's currently grading 1.5 million oysters per hour. If you don't believe that, come talk to us. I'll show you the math. It really fills a bottleneck with our farm that we can shift a lot of product on and off the water with Flip Farm, but it takes us a long time to sort it. So this really fills that gap. It uses a shaker design, but the shaker moves, so it's very gentle. It doesn't need to shake the oysters down. The actual screen moves. So it's self-cleaning. It's a 4-way sort. It's very gentle. It's probably the most gentle dry grader that I've seen. And it's perfectly suited for vessel mounting, or it can be run onshore. So yeah, that's kind of a exciting new product that we've got available this year, and that's available for sale now. The other product I'm also very excited about. This is kind of a first look at our submersible float. So we've been working on this for quite a few years now. It's based on our standard 20-litre float, so we can do all the same things with it. We can flip it at high speed. We can empty and fill it just the same way that we do with our normal floats. But if we come the other way with the same flipper, we can now rotate the float over. And it's a little hard to see, but in the middle there's a vent on the bottom of that float, and that's allowing air to come out of that float and water to come in. So this now puts it into a situation where they're vertical, and that is a kind of a protection method for storms. And then we can basically flip those back up the right way. We bring them up out of the water drains out, and they go back to being a standard surface float. And this is all done just by driving down the line. There's no touching of the gear. The skipper doesn't leave the wheel. He just drives onto the line and off the other end. Then we can modify the flipper slightly, and now we can put more water into the float, and now we can fully sink the line. So that line's now completely sunk. That took about 5 minutes. And then again, we can lift that up and back onto the surface again. So this is a really great option for either under ice or when you've got a hurricane coming. Our target is to be able to sink one every second. So that allows you to sink around 20,000 baskets a day with one operator. So yeah, that's under development at the moment, and this time next year should be ready for sale, hopefully.
All right, thank you. That was 301.
I am Mike Arguelles with French Hermit Oyster Company. My wife and I have been raising off-bottom oysters for the last 5 years at Deer Island Oyster Park. When Mississippi first launched the industry of off-bottom oyster aquaculture. We use our lease is a 5-mile boat run from the Biloxi Harbor, and it's in about 5 feet of water, and it has a large area that when the wind blows, its waves hinder the operation. We use the Oyster Grow 6-bag float cage, which is designed to flip and desiccate to control biofouling. We decided it really wasn't feasible at Deer Island for us because of those 3 things: the distance, the depth, couldn't get in the water and flip them, and also the fetch, the waves would turn those cages back over. So, and we were taught if you did desiccate, you needed to do about 18 hours once every 10, 15 days. And so instead, we opted to use a pressure washer on board to control the biofouling. In a perfect world, every 45 days, the cage gets worked, and we separate the boxes and all the little critters that hatch out in there. We can get them all out during that process, except for the barnacle. The barnacle is like a weed to the agricultural farmer. That's our weed. And so when everything goes good, you can take care of that in every 45 days. But occasionally a cage will be neglected and it'll be in the water for a long time. I'm not going to say how, incriminate myself, but it does happen. And so what I'm talking about today is how to recover that cage. The cage gets heavy with barnacle growth. The bags are full with oysters, and you can't really lift them out. So we designed and built this tool. We call it a barnacle sword. So when the winch of the boat gets the cage up in the vertical position, is it showing? Oh, I'm supposed to press. You can use this between the bag and the cage to break the barnacle, the grab that it has on it. And you can push it down and saw it. You do this on the top and then the bottom of the bag. Then your winch can lift the bag out using a hook like this. This one was designed to have 4 prongs that engage into the bag. And it's a 14 millimeter bag, so the spacing is kind of critical. All 4 get hooked in. You're less likely to tear the bag when you use that winch to pick it up. And when you do pick it up, you can dump it right in the pick-out box. And there's a lot of things to see in that pick-out box, but it's really a dirty job. And we're thinking about calling Mike Rowe, see if he'll do an episode. That's it.
All right, he went over, but I really wanted to watch the video, so I just let it happen. Okay. That was 3 minutes and 45 seconds. No, you're good.
All right, on your mark, get set, go. So this is the low tech on the farm, an old school method for hoisting and lifting cages. I'm gonna press start because I made a 2-minute video. It's an old school block and tackle system. You can have a fancy winch, you can have whatever davit, but as long as you got a place to anchor on your boat, put a block and tackle in there, you get a 4-to-1 mechanical advantage here. There's our 2 anchor points. I got a rusty carabiner, probably should replace. As you notice throughout this video, the first half, the dumbest thing I did was not wear gloves. As you know, as an oyster farmer, you should probably be wearing gloves. But so you get up on your cage, you pull your winch down, and you can take these 2 hooks here in a minute and attach it to the front side of the cages. Mike and I should probably kind of team up on some of this stuff because, you know, in Mississippi, we got to be resourceful. So you put a hook in there. They're just aluminum hooks tied up, made to spec. Pull it down, and then you can grab your tag line, pull it up, and your cage is coming. It works on a heavy cage, it works on a light cage, and it saves your back a little bit. We have the hooks on the gunnel, should have featured that a little bit more. Switch the thing so you could actually watch me do this here with gloves on, so I don't accidentally wreck my hands. They're still pretty. I filmed this on Wednesday in anticipation. So put your cage, put it up on the side of the boat, lock it in on the hooks to hold your oyster grow 6-pack on there, open it up, and you need to make sure that you store those hooks out of the way. If you just let them dangle, you're gonna get knocked in the head and you're not gonna feel good for the rest of the afternoon on the farm. So we'll store that out of the way. It's a little bit of my first tech talk here, so there's a little bit of dead space in the video as I try to get it done. I tried to edit it down. And open your cage, grab your bag. As the cage is on the side, as you know, you can kind of just use that as your table to take a look, spray your stuff off, investigate your oysters, whatever it is you need to do. And keeps you strong. The one thing that's very good about having a block and tackle is that it doesn't require any power except manpower. You don't have to worry about something electrical. This is what it looks like when it's stored out of the way. It's just a simple solution, one that kind of actually came with the boat when we got it. We were like, we're not gonna need this. This is me and my dad, and sometimes me, we're like, we're just gonna bend over. Yeah, you'll do 1 or maybe 2 days of that before you're like, well, I'm gonna die very soon. I'm gonna be crippled from oyster farming. It's my favorite part about it. It's just an old school way for you to try to, you know, make things easier on your farm. You can use it to lift a sunken cage. We have different legs on the bottom of that little metal part there on the left. So we're only in 3 to 5 feet, so we don't need to go too deep. And gets you strong, helps you get a cage out of the water, can flip, do whatever. It's pretty good.
258, nailed it.
Hey, we were very fortunate to have a great site at Navy Cove where we've been using the oyster growth system for the past 12 years. And it's a great site. Generally, it's waist deep water. We don't even need a boat, okay? Our site, though, is generally sheltered when the south winds are blowing, so we're on the lee shore, but our long fetches to the north. So during the wintertime, when we have storm fronts come through and the winds are howling out of the north for a few days, it creates a very high energy beach right there where we're deploying and working our cages and bringing them up to be serviced. So, and since we're now a million oyster farm, we're bringing a lot of cages in at a time. So we're hoping each cage we bring in to service, we can get all 6 bags at one time up to the grader and empty one cage for each effort that we do. And using this beach buggy here to pull things up. But what was happening is when our cages and bags were pretty full, it was taking 2 people to push this cart up that short distance on that grade. So I introduced, this is the Tugger capstan winch that we bought online. And I won't go through every detail, but it's a 12-volt, 2.5 horsepower motor. And there's the website on the bottom. It works great for our needs. And if you want more information, come see me. We're not selling these, though. We can get them online. It plugs into a 2-inch receiver in the back of a truck. And it's about 4 inches tall and about 4.5 inches across. And it turns pretty quickly. And Chuck Wilson and I came up with this idea because we both had experience in the past on shrimp boats, picking up huge tails off the shrimp trawls and being able to lift them on the boat just using a cat head winch, as we called them back then. And it comes in a bag and it runs on we have an extra battery to run it with. And we manage all that rope because in wintertime, the water's pretty far out. So we set up our rope blanks and bring this beach buggy in. And we manage our rope with a shrimp basket so it doesn't get all tangled up as we deploy and bring it in. And you can see the foot switch right there to operate it with. And so this is a picture of a cage. We also are able now to clip the cage onto the back of the buggy and drag that dirty cage up to be air dried too. But what's happening over time now is we're wearing off the vinyl as we drag those upside down and the vinyl's breaking. So now we're switching over to aluminum strands. We get those from Ketchum to help solve that problem, and we're slowly working that into our rotation. So, results may vary and void where prohibited. Thank you.
Great job. All right, that was 243.
Okay, so this is, I say this field nursery because one of my distinguished colleagues pointed out that what we really have is not a field nursery. It is some cages that we stuff small mesh bags in. So consider that to be part of the reference point. Why did we do this? In a word, desperation. It's a both risky proposition and it's expensive. And so we had 2 hatcheries go belly up in Florida within a year. And so that left a lot of pressure on the one remaining nursery. And so we decided that we would try and take matters into our own hands. And we begged Auburn to sell us some small seed, 1 micron seed. And this is it. That's about 1.1 million seed right there. And so this is the gear that we used in the grow out. You can see a 1 millimeter mesh bag there on the left, and then we arranged those into floating cages and stretched them out. You can see in the back there are some other bags that are 2 micron or 2 millimeter bags that have some kinds of frames in them to maintain a dance floor. So that's how we did it. But the problem is, while you can be diligent and go out there and wash your bags every day, we have hurricanes. And Idalia hit us and killed about 800,000 oysters. Everything less than R2 died. Everything bigger than R2 lived. And so we went through that same thing last year. That was Elsa. And we have rotated between taking oysters, baby oysters out of the water and putting them in the cooler for 48 hours or leaving them in the water. They die no matter what. So 800,000 dead. This is 1 year. So it's very difficult when you look at the investment that you make in a bunch of seed and it all dies at one time. So very difficult. So my message to everyone is that the number you need to look at here is effective seed cost, which is the total seed cost that you pay to the hatchery or nursery divided by the number that you get to R4. And that's the effective seed cost. So for us, In this situation, our effective seed cost was somewhere in the order of 42 cents, dealing with, or $42 a thousand. And so that is more expensive than any seed that you can possibly buy. So what I'm saying is, if you have to do it, you can do it, but you're taking a huge risk, and we are always in the future going to leave this responsibility to people who have hatcheries and nurseries. And I think that now in Florida, we're getting to a point where we can rely on that. So that's the end.
Thank you very much. That was 3 minutes and 13 seconds, but it was a very important message.
Sorry.